Hi everyone, it's me again. I'm not very good at this vlog thing, talking thing, story time thing, so bear with me, and plus I'm a northerner, so they're kind of awkward to listen to anyway. So I'm sure you'll have all those secondary cringe-worthy moments. It's October, which means that it's Pregnancy and Infant Loss Month. And I wanted to make this video to talk about my story. I wasn't so sure whether... I'm still not sure whether I'll actually post it. But the thing with pregnancy and infant loss awareness is that the awareness comes from women not being able to, women feeling like they're unable to talk about their losses. That somehow the fact that it was the fact that the baby wasn't born makes it any less of a loss, but it's still a loss and it still hurts. And there's such a stigma surrounding talking about loss of a baby, whether it's pregnancy or shortly after. I'm not very good at talking about it. I still haven't told most of my loved ones, nor have I told anybody else. Friends, acquaintances, I haven't really broached the subject yet. I'm really struggling to. It's not something I feel comfortable talking about, and it's not because I'm ashamed, and it's not because I feel like people won't understand. I just haven't got to that stage in my grieving yet where I'm able to talk about it, but I think that this might be healing for me, so I'm going to try. But I also feel guilt because I feel if I'm not talking about my baby then, or babies plural, then somehow I'm doing them an injustice by not talking about them. So I guess this is my story. I actually have miscarried 2 and have suffered 1 ectopic pregnancy. And all within 5 months. So it's been quite difficult. In May, I first got pregnant. Well, it was end of April, early May. I found out in May. And these days the tests are so sensitive that you can find out that you're pregnant 10-11 days after ovulation. So even before your period, you can know now if you're pregnant. And so I was on contraception. I was on the progesterone only pill because we weren't planning on children before our wedding next year. And I would take tests every month anyway because with my health conditions I wanted to be prepared and do the right thing from quite early on. If I did fall pregnant, make sure I got all the scans and make sure I came off medication, which actually I had been doing anyway. So I was taking them as a precaution every month to make sure that I knew as soon as if I fell pregnant, I knew straight away, then I could, you know, make arrangements, make the appointments and make sure everything was okay. Even though we weren't really planning on having a baby. So I took the test as I normally would, and I didn't really look at it as such. I just glanced at it, and then I doubled up because I saw a line. I was like, shit, and I actually dropped the test. At that point I was not exactly happy to be pregnant, but I wasn't sad either. I was just shocked and I was not ready, and we had so much going on, and wedding plans, and I just moved down to London to be with my fiance, so I had nothing here yet, and I didn't have a network, and I'd left my family, my hometown, so I was like thrown in the deep end, and now I'm pregnant. So I was scared, but over the next few days, I kind of was like, okay, I'm pregnant, you know, it's my fiance's baby, the love of my life, I'm cool with that. And I miscarried shortly after. I miscarried about, I'd say, 3-4 days after when my period was due, so it was a really early miscarriage. It was probably 3 weeks after conception, which makes it about 5 weeks, not even that, maybe even 4 weeks. And the doctor said that's called a chemical pregnancy because the only evidence that you're ever pregnant is the pregnancy test, because it's too soon to see anything on a scan. So it was sad, but because it was so early, I hadn't got attached to it as such yet. It's still a loss, especially for women that are trying to get pregnant and end up with a really early miscarriage. Anyway, I happened to be visiting home not long after that, but while I actually was miscarrying, I ovulated and I fell pregnant again straight away, and again that ended in chemical pregnancy. Very early miscarriage around the same time, I'd say. Around a week after I found out, I started bleeding really, really heavily, and then I spoke to a doctor again, and they just said to monitor the pregnancy test so the hormone goes down, and that's what I did. At this point I came off contraception, because I realised that it just wasn't working for me and I was falling pregnant. So I tried the implant, but that made me really, really sick, so I decided to come off that, and me and my fiance, I'd say, probably weren't as careful as we should be, and I fell pregnant mid to the end of August. My cycle started on the 8th of August, ended 5 days after that, and then I fell pregnant. I'd say I probably ovulated around the 21st. I found out on the 4th of September, but this time I actually I wanted this baby, so when I found out, I actually cried happy tears. I think even though the timing wasn't great, after losing 2 weeks to miscarriage, even though it was really early, I guess that made me want babies more. My timeline had changed in my head. I had felt this loss, and when I found out I was pregnant on the 4th, I was just so excited. I cried most of the day. Happy tears. But again, like my miscarriages, I had cramping on my right side, and I was prepared to miscarry again. So on the 4th of September, I found out I was pregnant. I told my mum and a couple of close friends, as well as obviously my fiance, gesticulating like he's here, but he's not. It's just an empty spot on the bed where he usually is. But I found out on the 4th of September that I was pregnant, and I got cramping around the 5th, but I thought, well, you know, don't be negative, maybe it's just, you know, implantation, maybe it's just things like that, maybe it's just things stretching, ligaments. I mean, I know it's really early, but I was trying to stay positive. But around the 7th, I started spotting. It wasn't anything heavy, but I'd been to the A&E about the cramping, and my hormone wasn't high enough yet for one of the tests. There's 2 tests. One has to come back at 25 to be positive, and the other's like there's qualitative and quantitative. Anyway, it's really confusing, but basically they said that they couldn't say whether I was pregnant or not yet. It was only something like 2 weeks after I'd ovulated, so whilst my tests were positive, they said unless my levels are above a certain level, then they can't say whether I definitely am or I'm not pregnant. So a few days later I got the spotting and I had cramping, and I thought I was going to miscarry. At this point I rang my parents and I cried down the phone, so I was going to lose another baby and I wasn't prepared for that. On the 8th and the 9th I bled so heavily. I bled so many clots, I felt so weak, I was so ill. So I thought I've miscarried this baby too. There's no point in going to the hospital to get checked out, it's happened to me before. This is the 3rd time, I know what the drill is, you know. If anything untoward seems to happen, I'll go to A&E, but apart from that, you know, it just is what it is. And I cried a lot. In fact, the past month or so, all I seem to have done is cry, for one reason or another. Hormones, right? But a few days after I stopped bleeding on the end of the 9th, so I spotted on the 7th, I bled heavily on the 8th and the 9th. By the end of the day of the 9th I'd stopped bleeding. I think that it was a few days later I took a pregnancy test to see if my pregnancy HCG levels were going down. So my chemical pregnancies, my really early losses, the test line got fainter and fainter, and within a week it was gone, it was negative again. So I was kind of just monitoring that. And the line was darker, which was bizarre. But I just figured that maybe there was just more in my pee that day, maybe my pee was more concentrated. But then I remembered that I still had a digital left. Now, when I found out I was pregnant, there wasn't enough hormone in my body to bring the digital up positive yet. So I figured that if the digital comes out positive, then my hormone must be increasing because the digital tests aren't as sensitive. I think you need 4 times as much as on the early pregnancy test that I had. So I took it and it came out 1 to 2 weeks pregnant, which is 1 to 2 weeks after conception. So that would put me at about 4 or 5 weeks pregnant, which was about right. So, very confused, I arranged to go to the early pregnancy unit the day after. And they did an internal scan and said they couldn't see anything, but that it could still be too early, but they figured that I'd probably miscarried, and they diagnosed me with something called a pregnancy of unknown location. They gave me a booklet that explained that it could be one of 3 things: ectopic, miscarriage, or that it was just too early to see the yolk side of the baby. So they did my bloods and they told me to come back in a couple of days so they could recheck my bloods and see what was going on. I took the booklet and I read up on it and I researched because I didn't want to be shocked. I didn't want it to come out of the blue. No matter what happened, I wanted to be prepared. Later found out that you can't be prepared for something like that, no matter how much you read. But so I went home, and then a few hours later they rang me that I should have lost my bloods, ironically. and they rang again to say they found them. They said that my HCG was at 200 and odd, and that my progesterone was really, really low at 6, and they said that that's indicative of like miscarriage or ectopic. That if it was too early and they just couldn't see my baby, that my baby would probably pass away anyway because the progesterone was too low. So it was bad news. But they said come back anyway. Now this was Friday. So they said we need you to come back on Sunday, but we're not open, so we need you to go to ambulatory care in your A&E, get your bloods taken. They will send the results off to us, we'll ring you. So I went to get my bloods done on the Sunday. At this point I was feeling pregnant. I was feeling really ill, really tired. I was actually getting cravings, which people say is normal around that time because you've got more hormone. But they rang me back a few hours later and actually told me that my hormone had doubled, which meant that I was still pregnant. And I remember actually sitting in this bed, and Spark was on nights, so he was led beside me. He said, "That's good news." He said, "Isn't it? You're still pregnant, it's good news." And I said, I just have a bad feeling. I can't celebrate. I just don't think this is gonna have a happy ending. So they said to me, "Are you coming the next day?" which would have been Monday morning. I said, "Yeah." And at this point again, they still weren't sure what was happening. They could be the one of the three things. That night Spark went to work and my puppy Ziggy would not leave my side. I tried to put him in his bed. I even had his crate in here, and he just wouldn't leave my side. Every time I put him in his crate, he cried and he'd get back on the bed and he'd lie on me, and he wouldn't leave my side. And I fell asleep, but around 4 AM I woke up with really bad pain on my right side. I always ovulate on my right. So I knew that this was either miscarriage or something more sinister, and I started spotting, so I expected to bleed really heavily again, but I didn't. I stopped, and then there was just like old, like coagulated blood. So Spark came home at his usual time, about 8:30 in the morning. We got ready and we went straight up to the women's diagnostic unit again. And we waited, but I told Spark to ask them how long we'd have to wait because I was in more pain. I've got a really high pain threshold, so they didn't actually think that it would be like ectopic because I should be in more pain if it was ectopic, but I was in a lot of pain. I'm just very good at hiding it. So they didn't actually expect ectopic, they just expected me to be miscarrying. And then I went into the room and the first sonographer did another internal. She said she couldn't find anything. She said she looked and she couldn't find anything. And then the consultant came in and she said, "I'm going to have a look." And it was excruciating because she was manipulating my stomach so she could see my tubes and my ovaries and different things like that. She said, "I found the baby. She's in your right tube." And my reading up didn't prepare me because I just burst out crying. She said, I'm sorry, I know it's disappointing. I said, no, you have no idea. I said, everything that's happened in my life is a disappointment. Like, all the medical things, they're so rare, and yet they keep happening to me. I told her about the story about my appendix and how it was one of these cases that you never see. It's one of these fluke cases, and she said, yeah, I remember reading a case study up about a case like that. It's like one in so many, hundreds of thousands. And she said, you know, you really do have bad luck. I said, I know. And she turned the screen to me. And she showed me. I mean, obviously you can't see anything because it's inside the tube, but I saw my swollen tube. But because of my hormones, it showed that my baby was still growing, or my fetus was still hanging in there. But obviously with an ectopic tubal pregnancy, there's nothing you can do to save that baby, because when the placenta takes over 12 weeks, it needs blood supply, and it's not a good blood supply in your tubes. So she sat me down, and obviously because I have really great pain tolerance, she assumed that I wasn't in that much pain. And she said to me, well, we can do expectant management, which means it's quite big, you're about 6 weeks and 3 days. She said, you do expectant management, or we can give you the abortion drug, but it might not work, but we can see for a day or so. I said, but what about the pain? She said, you're in pain? I said, yeah, I'm in a lot of pain. She went, oh, we're going to have to do surgery, then we can't do expectant management. You're going to have surgery. She said, you know, you'll probably lose your tube. So, she said, I'm going to I'm going to write down the measurements of your fetus, the size of it, and your tube, and I'm going to send it off to the surgeon. And I rang my mum. While I was still there, the doctor was still talking to me, and I just rang my mum because I needed to hear her voice. And she put the phone down so she could ring my dad, and my dad rang me back straight away. And I remember him saying to me, I mean, I've had lots and lots of surgery all my life from being a child, and he just said to me, he said, you know what I'm like? He said, I'm usually the one that gives you the book of speech and makes you stay strong. He said, but even I see how unfair this is, and how this just isn't fair. He said, I'm so glad I'm not the one that has to sign the consent form, because if I'm honest with you, I don't think I could. I've never had surgery without my parents being there, so with everything I've been through, I just broke down and just sobbed. Anyway, I finished talking to my parents, and they took me to a bay near, it's in the same place, so whilst people are going through the surgery with me, I'm watching happy couples sleep with scam pictures. nurses were so great though, as were all the staff. They said to me, they said if your left tube is not healthy, then we will try and preserve your right tube. I asked them not to, because what I'd read previously in the booklet they'd given me was that ectopic pregnancy is more likely if you've had one before, due to scarring blocking the tube. I could never go through this again. So I said, take it, even if my other one's not healthy. Take the tube out. And then, the surgeon, well, like, anesthesiologist came around. They went through all the consent forms. I went through all my previous experiences with anaesthetics, so they decided that they would keep me at least overnight and make sure that everything was okay. Spark had gone to get my coats, well, pajamas. They told him that I was priority, but I probably wouldn't be in till tea time, but while it was gone, they took me down. So I was alone. I knew that when I woke up, that I wouldn't be pregnant anymore. And I was just so lost. But I didn't know what else to do, so being the silly northerner that I am, I told jokes and made the staff laugh because they all felt bad. I've always wanted to be a mother. I always believed that it was a pretty easy thing to be. You don't realise how common it is to lose a child, to lose a fetus. Sorry about that, the camera cut off. Apparently there's only so long you can talk before it cuts off. But it actually allowed me to calm down, which is a good thing. But what I was saying is that you actually don't realise how common it is to go through something like this. It's not something you're told at school. You know, there's sex education and it only takes the one time to get pregnant. And whilst that's true, we're not actually educated on how common it is to lose a baby, to miscarry, to have an ectopic pregnancy. They don't tell you that it actually happens a lot, usually 1 in 4. That nearly every woman you know will have gone through it at some point. I came round from surgery and it was horrible. See, apart from the fact that my entire body went into spasm, thanks disability, and they had to pump me absolutely full of diazepam, fentanyl and baclofen, to the point where I couldn't really speak or do much. It was awful because when that started to wear off, I look more pregnant than I did before I went into surgery, because it's laparoscopic, which means keyhole. So they use instruments either side. They put a tube through your belly button and pump it full of gas, so they have more space to work and they can see better. And they use their tools or incisions on each side to do the surgery. So I came out actually looking 5 months pregnant, which was horrible. I was in so much pain, but I was so numb. Emotionally, it was horrible. Really horrible. And the hardest thing was that I was talking to a friend that had gone through multiple miscarriages, and I'd asked her to take a flower from my baby next time she goes to visit hers. And I hadn't realised that my fiance had seen the text, and he burst out crying. And he didn't have an attachment yet as such to the baby. But he said it was the fact that he actually saw my tube swollen where the baby was on the scan, and it made it so real for him. He said he hated seeing that I was so upset, and that he couldn't do anything about it. And he blamed himself, but it wasn't his fault and it wasn't my fault. The surgeon came round the next day, and one of the surgeons, and she said that everything was really healthy, and it just really was a case of bad luck. And I guess that makes it even harder to handle, because maybe if there'd have been something wrong with the baby that caused it, or something wrong with me, then it's easier to swallow. But to know that it just was really bad luck, and that if I didn't have such bad luck, I'd still be pregnant right now. It isn't fair. But one thing that helped me was actually talking to a couple of friends that I'd known had gone through it. I really haven't thought much really, because I haven't been able to, but from what I have been able to say and talk about, it's really helped. And on YouTube, all you have to do is type in ectopic pregnancy story, and there are hundreds of women that have gone through the same. That helped me too, because whilst I couldn't talk about it, it helped to hear other people talk about it. This whole thing has been a horrible, horrible experience. And the emotional roller coaster from being so happy and excited and elated to so truly heartbroken, and then to absolutely numb, nothing. That was horrible. I want every woman out there that's gone through this to know that your loss is still a loss. Even if it's a very early miscarriage, your loss is still a loss. Don't ever, ever let anybody tell you otherwise. This pain, it's real. And so many women feel it, and yet they feel they can't talk about it. For the stigma attached, for somebody to say, yeah, but it wasn't a baby yet, or it wasn't born, it wasn't viable, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. No, you lost a baby, and don't ever let anybody tell you otherwise. I'm sure there's things I haven't covered in this video, but I feel exhausted now, just talking about it and reliving it. Shall I edit this space out where I can't seem to talk about anything? I hope that once I'm married next year, that I'm blessed with a beautiful baby. I mean, I have a dominant ovary, so on the side where the tube was removed, so my odds are a lot less. Since I managed to get pregnant on every contraception, I'm quite sure I'll be fine. I just wish I had this baby. That this didn't happen like this. Anyway, I'm gonna go because if I don't, I'll probably cry again. And we all know I ugly cry. But this is my story, and if you've gone through the same, I encourage you to tell your story. Because you're not alone. Too many of us feel this. Too many of us.